Another dragon matchup between Hiromi Kudo of Japan and Shin Huang of Taiwan.
Let's start this one up now. It's the Japanese player versus the Taiwan player. I believe this is
and by
the
dragon
full
matchup,
H1,
we mean
so.
this is another Dragon Ruler versus Dragon Ruler event, not another Dragon Duel event. This is in the all ages bracket.
Dragon Ruler. This is like adult.
And this one in particular is pretty interesting because they both have their own unique take on what you can do with a Dragon Ruler deck. It's a deck that has a lot of possibilities to it, and there's some pretty interesting stuff here. We'll have to see how the cards fall.
On the top of the screen you have the player from Japan, and on the bottom of the screen you have the player from Taiwan.
Just a little bookkeeping before we begin. Hiromi Kudo finished yesterday's Swiss rounds with a record of 3-2. His wins were against 2 Dragon Ruler decks and a Spellbook deck, and his losses were both against Dragon Ruler decks. Shin Huang also had a record of 3-2. His wins were against Spellbooks and 2 dragons, and his losses were both against dragons.
Throughout this entire tournament, we've seen a 3-to-1 ratio of Dragon Ruler decks to Spellbook decks. And currently, in the semifinals of both the Dragon Duel and main event, that ratio continues. We are down to 6 Dragon Ruler decks and 2 Spellbook decks.
A quick update for all the viewers in Europe. There is one European player left in the competition today. It's Niels Kuhnberger, who made it to the semifinals in the Dragon Duel event, and playing against Oliver Tomiko, who we have seen in our previous match on this stream.
Well, it looks like Huang has won the dice roll, and he's going to start us off. Opening up with the Sacred Sword of 7 stars, dig a little deeper in his deck, and based on what he draws, he'll decide whether or not he wants to search using the effect of the Tempest that he just banished. Oh, and he's going to do it. Now, in his deck, the possible things that he can pick up are Dragoonity Corsica, which is a level 1 wind tuner, the Lightning Dragon Ruler of Drafts, which is the baby form of Tempest, which is what he's getting. But he's not going to play that. He'll start off with Burner, discarding a copy of Tempest. It's 2 Tempests to start with. And that'll get him a Blaster out of his deck. That foil Blaster sure looks nice. And I'm going to have a secret rare version of him coming out in the collectible tins pretty soon. He's going to go for another Baby Dragon Ruler. This one is Reactin. We'll bring out the Earth Dragon Ruler of Boulders. That's already a pretty good start, but what would make it really good is if he also had a Super Rejuvenation somewhere in his hand. Rejuvenation is one of the key cards of the Dragon Ruler deck, based on the number of dragons that you discard or tribute during your turn. During the end phase, Super Rejuvenation lets you draw 1 card for each of them.
So if everything goes right for you, you play pretty much your whole hand and replenish it at the end of the turn.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Super Rejuvenation is a very old card that never really saw a bunch of use until the modern Dragon Ruler deck came into being, which, as we saw last round, has a lot of dragons going to and from the graveyard and everywhere else throughout the whole duel.
It's had some minor stints in other combo decks as well, mainly to help draw through your deck to get all 5 pieces of Exodia. Though that's not what the Exodia player at last year's World Championship went for. He went for more of a trap-based strategy. I guess it all averages out in the end. If you take their traps and the number of traps being played in this match here, you get an average number of traps. He's brought out his Dracosac in defense position, along with a pair of tokens. In defense position, that means that his opponent won't be able to punch any damage through it, which can be important because one of the cards that winds up in Dragon Ruler extra decks quite a lot is Ancient Sacred Wyvern, a card that gains attack points if you have more life points than your opponent. Now there's an interesting move. He's tributed one of his Mechaphantomy's tokens to destroy his own Dracosac, and the reason that you'd want to do that is so that you can get your dragons back. He summoned both of his off of the baby dragon rulers, so he's got plenty of dragons left in his graveyard that he hasn't yet used any of the effects of. He's got yet another baby dragon ruler. That's, for those of you keeping track at home, that's 3 out of the 4 that he's played the effects of. And one of the things when you're playing with a Dragon Ruler deck, especially if it's against another Dragon Ruler deck, is to make sure you keep track of all of the effects that have been used thus far. You only get 1 of each per turn. And there is the Super Rejuvenation. By my count, he's discarded 6 dragons this turn. 2 for each of the effects of a baby Dragon Ruler. He's drawn 6 cards, he's got 3 tokens, a defense position Dracosac, and a face-down card. That's a pretty darn good first turn. Kudo's staring deep into his cards. Starting off with Heavy Storm, which destroys a bluff Sacred Sword of 7 stars. He's going ahead and banishing 2 copies of Tempest. No, he's discarding Tempest and another Tempest to use its ability to search any Dragon-type monster from the deck. And he used it to get Burner, Dragon Ruler of Sparks. Burner's up next. That's 4 dragons discarded. And in response to the effect, Huang plays Maxx C. Now for each special summon for the rest of the turn, Huang's going to draw another card. Something that he's done quite a bit already this match.
So that's 6 cards for Super Rejuvenation, and now all the cards he gets through Maxx C.
And he played a Sacred Sword of 7 stars to start off. So he's seen at least half his deck at this point. Puts Kudo in a really difficult spot, because his deck is built around special summons, and every time he does it, Huang's just going to get another card. And makes those 3 tokens look really good right now, too.
And that is one of the huge things about Maxx C, that not only gives it, provides it additional card draw, but it also forces your opponent to make a really difficult decision that might, in the end, decide the game.
And he's decided that the only way he's staying in this game is to special summon some more. He's banished Tempest and Burner to bring out Redox, and he's debating battle position. There are a lot of tokens on that field. He's got to clear them out if Dracosac's ever going to go anywhere. And he leaves it at that. Oh no, that's the draw from Maxx C. Alright, battle.
There goes the first token.
Takes down 1 token only before going to main phase 2. And Xyz summoning. You guessed it. Number 11, Big Eye. Leaves it where it is. And before he has a chance to detach any materials, Huang goes ahead and plays Effect Failure to negate its effect. Now, Kudo also has the Super Rejuvenation this time around. He's going to pick up 4 cards. And that'll do it for his turn.
And now let's see what Huang does with all the cards he has just drawn.
That's a lot of cards. Kind of get the feeling that this is going to get ugly quick. Maybe not so quick. Got to check with the graveyard first to make sure you can actually do your plays before you start making them.
That's a very shiny effect whaler on the top of his graveyard.
Yeah. I don't know. Still nothing from the duels from Taiwan. Another check with the graveyard. Now he's going to go ahead and tribute Dragosack itself to destroy Big Eye. Now not only does that get you more dragons into the graveyard, by tributing Dragosack itself, you don't leave yourself open to being hit by an effect failure since there's no target for it.
They're checking something with the judge right now.
It's like a lively discussion on the status of that Tempest.
They're also conferring with the translators, a Japanese translator and a Chinese translator.
All right. So with that confirmed, he goes ahead and discards the Tempest and Dragoonity Corsica to search his deck for a dragon. For a second there, I thought that was his hand. They've got a comparable number of cards at this point. And there is one of the interesting bits about Huang's deck. He's running the Eclipse Wyvern Light and Darkness Dragon package that was originally popular when the Dragon Rulers first came out, because it lets you search out Light and Darkness Dragon and tribute summon it on a regular basis. Super Rejuvenation counts tributes as well, and while Light and Darkness Dragon does negate the effects of all spells, traps, and monsters that are activated, after you've activated Super Rejuvenation, actually drawing cards doesn't start a chain. So you get to do it unencumbered by your own dragon. So he's discarded the Eclipse Wyvern, and when it goes to the graveyard, he gets to banish a light. And he gets to banish a dragon from his deck, which will take Light and Darkness Dragon. Now, if he can banish it for another Dragon Ruler, which seems likely, there's plenty of them in the graveyard, he can get that Light and Darkness Dragon back. Seeing as he hasn't used his normal summon this turn either, he'd then be able to tribute summon it, either by tributing his 2 remaining tokens from Dracosack, or whatever Dragon Ruler he's about to bring out.
He approaches the situation very methodical and really wants to make sure that he covers all eventualities and doesn't make the mistake by rushing his play and leaving his opponent any opening back into the game.
What he might not know is that there is a potential opening. We haven't gotten to see Kudo's hand. However, we have seen his deck list, and he actually runs a card for exactly this situation.
And what card is that?
That's Trifortress Ops from Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. It's a machine-type monster with 2800 defense that has a quick effect. If your opponent has summoned 3 or more monsters at any time during this turn, you can activate its effect to special summon it. And the end result of this is that since Light and Darkness Dragon doesn't destroy the cards that it negates, he can activate it over and over and over again to wipe out all of that monster's attack points and leave it unable to negate anything. But It's possible Huang is prepared for that eventuality as well, because it looks like he's going to go for an Maxx C summon here. That's Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger. It's a rank 7 monster, 2600 attack points. It inflicts piercing battle damage when it attacks a defense position monster. It doesn't normally get Maxx C summoned this way. It has a special ability that lets you use a rank 5 or 6 monster to summon it, and that's normally how it hits the field.
And there's Light and Darkness Dragon.
Now the question is, has he got the Trifortress Ops? He doesn't, and that's the end of the first duel. Shin and Huang is up 1 duel to none.
These guys are really good. I just thought I'd put that out there. Everything Huang did, beyond me. This guy's deck list, beyond me. I would love to see this guy's deck list after this. I hope... Kind of hoping he goes on right now, to be honest, so I can see that deck list, because it looks awesome! But anyway, I'm going to cut this one out, get ready for game 2, and I'll bring you like I was here in a sec.